United another Scottish veteran, just like last week. This show was hot on the heels of another busy week of European football and another busy night in the Europa League. And Chris, finally happened. Mr. McCoy has been caught.
Absolutely delighted for Morales, whatever you call him, or whatever Ali calls him. But it's crazy. He's devastated. He's devastated. Look at him.
No, listen, I have to inform you, hearty congratulations to Alfredo Morelos. I think...
well, sound happy that you're congratulating him.
No, let's be honest about it. Some of these goals, you know, have been excellent in that tune over the last couple of years. We've enjoyed them. They really have. Some great goals against some good opposition. Last night again, Chris, it was a great header. I've got to say, the header was good, but the ball in from Barisic was absolutely magnificent. It was one of the best crosses I've seen in a long time. Tavernier was just behind him. He probably scored as well. But no, congratulations. He started off on the bench last night, Chris, which is a place I actually think he should have started the game, because I don't think he's been performing anything like to the level that we know he can, or Rangers have expected from him. But maybe it was just a wake-up call that he needed. Roof started the game, he came off, Morelos came on, and as I say, scored the only goal of the game with a good header, has equalled the European record, certainly in that tournament. And
good luck to him. Let's hope he passes it next week. Let's hope he gets the goal next week and go past you.
Chris, if you've been tuning into the show post-Rangers game, you would have heard that I did say that. I am not only hopeful that he'll do it, I am convinced that he'll do it. And equally, when that happens, I'll be the first man to congratulate him.
He was in his bed by then, Ali. Come on, he was right out. As you know, he wasn't watching that. He was in his bed last night, he said.
I never ever miss a chance to listen to McCoist.
You can listen to him lots more on this programme, but just hold on a minute. Let's just reflect back, first of all, on what happened last night.
It's El Yunusi! What a wonderful goal! It's a double from Mohamed El Yunusi! The penalty is awarded. Denied by Scott Bain. They have got one back through Zeki Çelik. It will come back to Yazid Chir and hit and scored. Barisic with a great volley from Alfredo Morelos.
So another good night overall for the coefficient, which is going up and up, as you guys know. But let's start then on Celtic, Chris. 2-0 up in Lille. At that point, you're thinking this could be a brilliant European night. In the end, still a good point, but how would you assess the way the game finished for Celtic?
I think Ali and Alan summed it up perfectly. A bit of criticism, I think, from Celtic fans for his defensive frailties. I thought he was excellent, and
Did
that answer a few questions for you last night?
Listen, they were far better. Of that, there could be no dispute. And Chris is right. I thought the better players were the two fullbacks, Frimpong and Laxalt, on either side. And clearly, the goal scorer had a very, very good evening. Could have been better. There's a similar opportunity for him to do that in the second half, and I can't believe he doesn't hit it. But that said, he took his goals very, very well and played well. No, there was a lot more from Celtic's point of view. It was definitely far more encouraging performance. But I do stand by it. You know, if Celtic are 2-0 down at half time and the game finishes 2 each, we're sitting here saying fantastic, you know, great, wonderful. But because you're 2-0 up, you end up 2 each, it goes the other way. So I don't think there's any doubt there'll be an element of disappointment, big disappointment in the Celtic camp that they didn't hang on to that victory.
Mistakes are still being made, there's no doubt about that. Neil Lennon still has issues defensively. Clearly, Christopher I going off, is a big blow to him. But, there was a glimmer last night. There was, I think a confidence, and I think the players can take a lot out of the performance, albeit, they would have liked to have got the 3 points.
I would think Bain might be in goals for the next few games. I might be wrong, but I just think the way Neil's looking at it, clearly he's not been happy as a lot of the Celtic supporters been with the goalkeeper they bought. I'm not saying it's is a massive problem. But you'd have to say it would be a concern to Celtic supporters and Neil Lennon. Because make no mistake about it, neither of those goalkeepers are as good as the one that they've now not got. They couldn't return for Southampton. I don't think there's any doubt about that. The big fella, installed a great deal of confidence. Obviously, he was a very, very good goalkeeper, but you can see he installed a lot of confidence in the defenders in front of him. That confidence isn't in the Celtic back four and goalkeeper, no matter who they play at this moment in time.
Just a crying shame, really, that Fraser Foster's sitting on someone else's bench when you think what he did last season.
I mean, questionable, isn't it, really? I mean, it looked like he would have had something in place, but to be sitting on the bench is totally unsatisfactory. This is pretty simple with the call last night. If Barkas was fit enough for the bench, he was fit enough to play. Neil Lennon, has opted for Bain, and I agree with Ali. Bain will stay in goal for the next couple of games, but it's, I don't think anybody's convinced with either Celtic goalkeeper, if I'm totally honest.
You know something? I'm not sure you have anybody on the bench with an injured shoulder, never mind a goalkeeper. A goalkeeper on the bench with an injured shoulder, that's a new one on me. You've got somebody else on the bench. Yep. If your goalkeeper's got an injured shoulder, you can't take a chance with that.
Good point.
There's our medical expert.
There he is. Dr. Ali's back. He's in the house. We must move on anyway. We don't have all that long left. Ali, on Rangers, you've already mentioned Morelos coming off the bench, making a difference in the game. Great ball in for Barisic. Kemar Roofe didn't really take his opportunity, and all of a sudden, going ahead, you wonder who is going to be the regular frontman in that team if there's only going to be one.
Well, I think the good thing that Steven Gerrard has now and Rangers have now, they have options. Clearly, we spoke about it last night, you and I, Darryl, at great length. The difference, for example, looking at the Rangers bench, it's far, far stronger than it's been for a number of seasons. And what Steven has now is a greater degree of options and not necessarily weakening the team when he makes changes. That's for sure. You've obviously got Eaton as well to come in and hopefully contribute and score goals. But you're right, I don't think Roofe took his opportunity last night. He did okay and put himself about as you would expect. But in terms of a real goal scoring threat, I think Morelos still gives you more of a goal scoring threat. I also thought that Kamara had another smashing game. He's certainly been arguably Rangers' better, even best player the last 6 or 7 games. I thought again he was excellent. But no,
they've got to get that new contract done, Ali.
Oh, that could be the best £50,000 spent in a long, long time. Got to get that done. Absolutely must get that done. But look, as I said, I've got solidity about them at the back. It's a quite unbelievable record, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I certainly know Chris will. I think they've had 14 clean sheets in 17 games, which, by the way, is absolutely unbelievable at this stage. Interestingly, again, I think they've got 2 very, very solid goalkeepers, reliable goalkeepers, which...
You can only play one, though.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, Celtic look as though they could play, we're playing with 2 at this moment in time, right? So Rangers have got 2, I think, very, very good goalkeepers that you can rely on. Celtic don't have that at this moment in time, Chris. They had it last year with a great goalkeeper. At this moment in time, they don't. They've got a back 4 that's far more solid. Equally, I mentioned last night when the 2 boys push forward, which they do, Barisic and Tavernier, they're well-drilled midfield, whether it's Kamara, who's been excellent, as I said, or Jack, or even Arfield will cover on the right-hand side. They've got it really organised, and they do it really, really well. So, although the goalkeeper in the back 4 deserve enormous credit for the number of clean sheets, equally, they're without doubt defending as a team. And at this moment in time, they're looking pretty good in that department. And they are, with people like Kent and Morelos and boys like that, you'll obviously will create chances.
Ali, just a final one then before we move on Rangers. Obviously, great position they're in their group now before they head to Lisbon. What a game that should be next week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that already. We're really lucky. We're getting some great football at this moment in time. Some great football coming up at the weekend as well, obviously, but then looking forward to that. Benfica. I think starting the section and looking at league section, I think everybody, probably myself included, and maybe yourselves, would have had Benfica down as the favourites to win that group. And they've certainly done a couple of great results, Benfica, as of Rangers. So I'm just thinking, I'm looking at the league at this moment in time. If Rangers could win one of those games, you'd have to say that's a long way for them qualifying. Yeah, and that would be absolutely, it really would. So we've got that to look forward to. And amazing, and sometimes, I said to you last night, for the first time in a long, long time, I felt Rangers were going into a European tie probably as out favourites in the league section. And it was a kind of pressure. I was looking forward to see how they handled. As I said, I didn't think they were great first half. I thought Poznan was a slightly better team without creating an awful lot. The Rangers definitely improved in second half, deserved the victory. But this will be a major test. Again, this will be a real step up in quality next week at the Stade de Luge.
Oh, he's chucked that in. That's lovely. Some of the pronunciations he had last night as well, Chris. Right out the top draw. He's been reading those stats, doing a bit of extra research as well.
Something like him.
It's like anything else, if you want to stay at the top of the game, it doesn't come cheap. You've got to work at it, mate.
That's right. That's right, Ali, right. He's chucked. We'll take a quick break. There's so much still to look forward to in Scottish Football Extra. The 2 Cup semis, 3 Premiership games as well, and these two have been out and about on their travels again. Hopefully this time staying on course, but oh dear, doesn't look like it. Welcome back. A busy part 2 of Scottish Football Extra ahead, but first of all we're going to check in with Rory Hamilton and Stephen Craigan, these two who are well on their way to securing their own travel show, which clearly Ali McCoist will want a slice of, and this week they've been out in Mugdock Country Park.
Hey Stephen, ready to get a bit muddy today?
Really?
I don't think we've got much of a choice, to be honest.
Okay, let's do it.
Out in the wilderness, there's proper slide tackle weather today.
Where's Big Chris when you need him? Oh, this would be glorious.
He'd be away on his horse. So Rangers head to Rugby Park on Sunday, a place where they've had trouble before.
Yeah, it's not a venue that Rangers have enjoyed going to under Steven Gerrard. When they've got a real opportunity to put more pressure on Celtic, go 9 points clear, they have to take it. Listen, come on, it won't change. They'll be defensive, they'll be hard to play against, they'll play in the counter-attack. But with Chris Burke, 36 years of age, top goal scorer, they've always got a chance with him in the side.
We've got this strange scenario where we've only got 2 Saturday league games, and first up 2 teams having a bit of a rocky time in Dundee United and Ross County.
It's a big game for both sides because there's only 1 point separates them. Dundee United have the slight advantage. Goal scoring for both teams is a major issue. Now, every week I speak about Dundee United, I say the same thing. But Dundee United have probably defended better. 2 clean sheets in a row will please Mickey Mellon. They will see this game as one they probably should be winning at home against Ross County. For Ross County, after last week's performance against Motherwell, they need a big turnaround. I think the players will their manager a big performance, and I expect to see that on Saturday.
It was a rough start for Motherwell. They turned the corner now, and now they face Livingston.
They do. Listen, Livingston's a hard one to predict. I think last season they were more consistent. This season, not so much. But always in that 4G surface at the Tony Macaroni, they fancy the chances against anybody. As well as Motherwell played last week, going forward, scoring 4 goals against Ross County, they will have to defend their 18-yard box. If they don't, Livingston will punish them.
So we get to the most anticipated Scottish Cup semi-final ever. 6 months we've been waiting for this Edinburgh derby. How to see it go?
But you've got to say it's going to be a surreal experience. I'm in the derby with no supporters there, but on paper you've got to say head to favourites. Top flight job, third in the Premiership. The more competitive games at this stage of the season. I mean, Kevin Nisbet got the informed striker. However, Hearts have been in this movie before. And Edinburgh derby, underdogs, people write them off. Plenty of experience, Liam Boyce, Stephen Naismith. I'm just slightly concerned with Josh Ginnelly's missed. He's been terrific in the early part of the season. That pace and trickery, listen, all the time.
But what a dress rehearsal we got at Tawdry for Sunday's game between Aberdeen and Celtic.
Well, as always with Celtic, the focus is going to be on them. You know, they've had a little bit of a dip in form. Neil Lennon's come out fighting this week. He's been protecting his players and trying to protect his own position. So I expect a big response from Celtic. The key for Aberdeen is, can they replicate what they done last Sunday? The intensity, the drive in the play, the willingness to keep going right to the final whistle. And if they can get Sam Cosgrove fit in the team, they've got a real chance.
Right, I think we might need to get some of this mud off us.
Let's go.
lovely, wasn't it, Ali? A part of the world you know well.
I do know it very well. It's up by Rangers training ground. I've got to say, I was a little bit embarrassed. It was like a scene from E.T. that was, I've got to tell you. There was nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the bikes. It was just like Crags looked like E.T. That was all.
This is you. You're hitting back after last night. That comment he made about you, that's hit hard, hasn't it?
Darryl, that was a totally unwarranted attack on me. I mean, my jaws were always moving when I was eating or talking. There was absolutely no need for that. That was a savage below the belt strike, and I'm bouncing back. I'm having him for that.
Right, let's move on to the big semi-final on Saturday. Edinburgh Derby at Hampden. Chris, who do you think is going to edge this one?
Oh, do you know what? This is a really, really difficult one to call. Hibs have started the season so well, but so have Hearts. And, you know, you look at some of the players Hearts could afford to have on the bench at the weekend with the win at Arbroath. The likes of Naismith, the likes of Whiten, who came on and got the winning goal. So they have great strength in depth. They have belief. Robbie Nielsen's gone back in. I think it'll be a real cracker. At this moment in time, I would just edge towards Hibs. I think that they're extremely streetwise this season. A really good win at Kilmarnock last week. So I would just edge towards Hibs in this one.
Ali?
I'm with Chris on this one. It's a tough call. It really is. You'd have to say, you know, both teams have started the season pretty well. Hibs in particular sitting third, two front boys. I think it could come down to the front players. You know, Doidge and Nisbet have been excellent for Hibs so far this season. And Chris again is right. That was a smashing result from down at Rugby Park last week. But I look at Hearts, you know, and Naismith's a big player. Make no mistake about it. Boys, they've got boys up front that can't hurt you. It's certainly a game, you know, that I'm really, really looking forward to. But like Chris, probably, maybe it's just because we're looking at where both teams are at this moment in time. I'm leaning slightly towards Hibs. But listen, it's a derby game, and as we all know, anything can happen. And again, we spoke about it before. It was eerie being at Parkhead for the Celtic Rangers derby. Equally, I think at Hampden at the weekend is going to be a shame and B, very, very strange again.
And then on Sunday, another big game at Hampden as well, Chris. Celtic against Aberdeen. Going into this one, of course, having just met last week, what did you learn from the last fixture?
That the teams think they can get to Celtic, as simple as that. And Celtic have a vulnerability defensively, and you know that's something which Neil Lennon needs to address. It would, to be honest, going into the game, always give Aberdeen an opportunity against anybody. Pataudry, I thought they attacked very well. I think the substitutions, it shows the strength and depth that Aberdeen have. The likes of Scott Wright coming off the bench, making an impact. Cosgrove, he'll be getting up to full speed now. Aberdeen are a good team. Ferguson, streetwise, tucked his penalties away nicely. But there were signs again from Celtic. Rogic playing, nice pass. The McGregor goal was superb. Lee Griffiths coming on. It's such a disappointment. I've said this many times now. Lee Griffiths to come on and score a goal, which he did. It was a stunning finish. You know, it was a Mo Salah type goal, pinged into the top corner. That's such a frustration for Neil Lennon because a fit, firing Lee Griffiths who can lead the line. Celtic would have massive competition for places up there. I worry about this game for Celtic. Set plays, corners, free kicks into the box, vulnerable in Lille, and we know that Aberdeen. I know we've joked in the past, and you've got them as just a bunch of giants who sort of launch it, but they do have a massive threat from set plays. You can't get away from that fact, and that's going to be a crucial part of the game.
I thought the game last week was an excellent game. And two wonderful goals, I've got to say, Griffiths and McGregor, sensational goals.
Would you have said that had Celtic won it?
No, not at all. You'd be getting a different story from me, totally, Chris. Now, let's be quite honest about it.
Right.
But it was a great game of football.
At least he's honest.
I think Aberdeen deserve enormous credit because that was a real punch in the plexus when they went 3-2 down after leading twice, and then they came back and got a well-deserved penalty. Although I've got to say, I found Neil's after-match comments it's a little bit strange, Chris. I don't know what you thought. It's about what Willie Collum. And I thought the only big decision Willie Collum got was not giving Aberdeen a free kick at Celtic's second goal. But, you know, obviously, Neil didn't see it that way. But, no, it was a good game of football and I enjoyed it.
We've got to get through a few more games in the Premiership. Some big talking points as well this week. Ahead of Dundee United, Ross County, as you know, Chris, the story coming out of Tannadice is wage cuts being proposed, 20%. Now, I think the reason this has caused so much of an issue is because new signings were made, and a loanee coming in as well, and Mark McNulty, and they've not been asked to take a pay cut. What would the knock-on effect be in the dressing room for you?
Do you know what? I think it's a really difficult one because it's no surprise that clubs, you know, are bringing in wage cuts because of the nature of what's happened with COVID and clubs losing money. That's no surprise. You would think that the fairest way to do it is the same principle for everybody. So if it's 20%, 20% across the board. But then the question is it fair for loan players to take a cut as well? And, you know, very difficult attracting loan players. So I think that's, you know, it's a really, really difficult one for Dundee United to deal with in that respect. So, you know, I think it has to be the same across the board. But I understand how difficult it is for Dundee United, you know, and loan players to actually go up there and, you know, and then ask them to take a cut. That doesn't sit right as well. Very difficult balance.
I genuinely think the majority of players would accept it, because the manager is trying to do something to strengthen the team, and I'm not sure that the players in that dressing room would be totally unhappy with a good player, a good loan player coming in, because the key is the word loan player.
Yep.
So he is only there in a part-time situation, and he will get back to his mother club. So if you've got a good, it all depends whether you've got a good dressing room, and hopefully they have, and the lads can sit and say, look, effectively, we're all in this together. You know, this lad's coming to help us. He's going back to his mother club, so maybe he is treated differently. It's a very, very difficult situation. I don't think there's a right or wrong on it.
Motherwell played really well last time out, 4-0, after having a month away now, this time off to Livingston, Chris. And Tony Watt a standout for the Steelmen last time as well.
Yeah, I've got a lot of time for Tony Watt. I think he's a good player. Really good to see him back on top form, and he'll be an integral part of the Motherwell team this season. I think a top half finish would be absolutely brilliant for Motherwell. Lose players every year, big overhaul of players. He's an experienced guy, and they'll need him to turn up at the weekend.
And Livingston went into the last international break off the back of 2 victories. They'll try and do the same this time round. And then on Sunday, Ali Kilmarnock against Rangers. Rangers have had mixed results there down the years. Last time they lost a damaging result. How do you see this one?
Well, I think Brophy was the thorn on their side last time. They've got Kabamba now, Bucks playing, Kilty. Listen, Kilmarnock are a good side. They probably lack that little bit of consistency, which Hibs are showing at this moment in time, to break into the sort of top 3 and 4. But certainly on their own turf, they're a difficult proposition. Rangers have found that. Certainly, not even just Rangers. I think for the Old Firm generally going down to Rugby Park over recent years, it's been a difficult place to go to. But this is another big test. These are the kind of fixtures that will dictate whether Rangers win the league and make a serious challenge all the way through this year in the campaign against Celtic. That's how big this fixture is.
Right, guys, quiz time. 6-5 McCoist, as he's been talking about all week. That was a big victory last week, got back in the lead. Right, as you know, we've already talked about the Scottish Cup semi-final. The last time Hearts and Hibs met in a Scottish Cup semi-final was, it's not the quiz, but does anyone know what year?
2015.
2006. Long time ago in the Scottish Cup. 4-0 that day. Memorable result. Would you believe? I hope my stats are right. It's not even part of the quiz yet. But anyway, here's a question for you. As you know, both clubs have had many managerial changes since 2006. So the question this week is, all you have to do is name anyone who has managed Hearts or Hibs since and including that semi-final back in 2006. And just to avoid any doubt, because I know you'll argue all week about this, I'll take caretaker managers as well. And there are so many on the list here. 14 for Hearts, 18 I make for Hibs, if you include the takers as well. So you shouldn't be short at answers. I kid you
Just
not.
give it to him.
Right, Chris. You're 6-5 down, Chris. You can kick us off.
I would go for Jack Ross.
Neil Lennon.
Robbie Nielsen.
Big Yogi.
Yep.
Craig Levine.
Alec McLeish.
Oh.
6-all, Ali. 6-all. You've blown it.
What an idiot!
Fucking me.
Mowbray was in charge of Hibs back in 2006. Big X before that.